Hey everyone! Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into some of the most pivotal moments in history, the battles that shaped our world. Wars have raged for thousands of years, but sometimes it's not the wars themselves but the battles that have truly turned the tide of history. From legendary sieges to surprising victories against the odds, we're counting down 15 of the most fascinating battles ever fought. Number 15. The Battle of Marathon, 490 BC. We're starting with one of the most important battles of the ancient world, the Battle of Marathon. In 490 BC, the Persian Empire, under King Darius I, set out to conquer Greece, and Athens was one of their main targets. Despite being heavily outnumbered, the Greeks, led by General Miltiades, devised a brilliant strategy. With only around 10,000 hoplites against an army 3 times their size, they charged the Persian flanks at Marathon Bay, taking full advantage of their home terrain. The strategy worked, and the Persians were forced to retreat. This battle wasn't just a Greek victory, it was a defining moment for Western civilization. It also inspired the legendary run of Pheidippides, who supposedly ran from Marathon to Athens to announce the victory, giving us the modern-day marathon race. Number 14. The Fall of Constantinople, 1453. Next, let's fast forward to 1453, when one of history's greatest cities, Constantinople, fell to the Ottoman Empire. This was the moment that ended the Byzantine Empire after more than 1,000 years of existence. Constantinople, now modern-day Istanbul, was considered an impenetrable fortress, surrounded by thick walls and protected by its strategic location between Europe and Asia. But Sultan Mehmed II, also known as Mehmed the Conqueror, was determined to take the city. His army, equipped with massive cannons capable of breaching the walls, laid siege to the city in April 1453. After a relentless 2-month campaign, the Ottomans finally broke through on May 29. The city's fall marked the end of the Byzantine Empire and the rise of the Ottoman Empire, shifting the balance of power in the region. This event also led to European exploration, as countries sought new trade routes, eventually sparking the Age of Discovery. Number 13. The Battle of Waterloo, 1815. Perhaps one of the most famous battles in modern history is the Battle of Waterloo in 1815. This was the final defeat of Napoleon Bonaparte, one of history's greatest military leaders. After returning from exile on Elba, Napoleon sought to reclaim his empire, but he was met with fierce opposition from a coalition of European forces. On June 18, 1815, near the town of Waterloo in present-day Belgium, Napoleon faced off against the Duke of Wellington and Prussian General Gebhard Leberecht von Blücher. The battle was intense, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. But in the end, Napoleon's forces were overwhelmed. His defeat marked the end of the Napoleonic Wars and ushered in a period of relative peace in Europe, known as the Concert of Europe. Number 12. The Siege of Stalingrad, 1942 to 1943. One of the most brutal and decisive battles of World War II was the Siege of Stalingrad, which took place between August 1942 and February 1943. The Germans, under the command of General Friedrich Paulus, sought to capture the Soviet city of Stalingrad, now Volgograd, to secure access to oil fields and crush Soviet morale. What followed was one of the most intense urban warfare campaigns in history. Despite relentless German bombing and assaults, the Soviets, led by General Vasily Chukov, used the ruins of the city to their advantage in a bitter house-to-house fight. The Soviet counteroffensive, known as Operation Uranus, encircled Paulus's Sixth Army, cutting off their supply lines. Trapped and suffering from starvation and cold, Paulus finally surrendered in February 1943. This battle was the turning point on the Eastern Front, and from here on, the Nazis were in retreat. Number 11. The Battle of Arbela, 331 BC. Let's step back in time again to one of the most critical battles in Alexander the Great's conquest of the Persian Empire. The Battle of Arbela, also known as the Battle of Gaugamela, took place in 331 BC. Alexander faced Darius III of Persia, who commanded an enormous army, many times larger than Alexander's force of 47,000 men. Darius had the advantage in numbers and terrain, but Alexander's military genius proved decisive. Using clever tactics, including the oblique formation, Alexander opened gaps in the Persian lines. His cavalry charge struck directly at Darius, causing chaos and panic. Darius fled the battlefield and his army collapsed. This battle solidified Alexander's position as king of Asia and marked the end of the Persian Empire. Number 10. The Siege of Yorktown, 1781. The Siege of Yorktown in 1781 was the final major conflict of the American Revolutionary War. Under the command of General George Washington, with crucial support from French forces led by General Rochambeau and Admiral de Grasse, the Americans trapped British General Lord Cornwallis in Yorktown, Virginia. With no hope of reinforcement after a French naval victory in the Battle of the Chesapeake, Cornwallis was forced to surrender after a 3-week siege. This victory sealed the fate of the British in the war, and the Treaty of Paris was signed 2 years later, granting the United States its independence. Number 9. The Battle of Zama, 202 BC. The next on our list takes us to North Africa in 202 BC, where the Battle of Zama marked the end of the Second Punic War and the fall of Carthage. The Roman general Scipio Africanus faced Hannibal, the legendary Carthaginian commander known for his surprise march across the Alps. In this final showdown, Scipio employed a clever tactic against Hannibal's war elephants. He arranged his troops to create lanes for the elephants to pass through, rendering them ineffective. With the Carthaginian cavalry defeated, Scipio's legions overwhelmed Hannibal's forces. Carthage surrendered, and Rome became the dominant power in the Mediterranean. Number 8. The Battle of Gettysburg, 1863. A key turning point in the American Civil War was the Battle of Gettysburg, fought from July 1 to 3, 1863. General Robert E. Lee's Confederate Army invaded the North, hoping to force a quick end to the war. However, they were met by Union forces under General George Meade at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. The battle was fierce, with over 50,000 casualties. The most famous moment came on July 3, when Lee ordered Pickett's charge, a doomed frontal assault on the Union Center. The Union forces held firm, and the Confederate Army was forced to retreat. This battle marked the beginning of the end for the Confederacy, leading to Abraham Lincoln's famous Gettysburg Address. Number 7. The Battle of Tours, 732 AD. In 732 AD, the Battle of Tours, also known as the Battle of Poitiers, took place in present-day France. Charles Martel, leader of the Franks, faced an invading Umayyad army from the Islamic Caliphate. This battle was crucial in halting the Muslim expansion into Western Europe. Charles Martel's heavily armored infantry held their ground, repelling waves of Umayyad cavalry. The battle ended in a decisive Frankish victory, and the Umayyad forces retreated. This victory is often credited with preserving the Christian culture of Europe and shaping its future. Number 6. The Siege of Baghdad, 1258. The Siege of Baghdad in 1258 was a catastrophic event that led to the fall of the Abbasid Caliphate and the destruction of one of the world's greatest cities. The Mongols, under Hulagu Khan, surrounded the city and, after intense fighting, stormed it on February 10, 1258. The once great city, home to the famed House of Wisdom, was razed to the ground. Thousands of books were thrown into the Tigris River, turning its waters black with ink. The fall of Baghdad marked the end of the Islamic Golden Age and cemented the Mongol Empire's dominance. Number 5. The Battle of Hastings, 1066. Another battle that dramatically altered the course of history was the Battle of Hastings in 1066. On October 14th, William, Duke of Normandy, faced King Harold II of England. William believed he had been promised the English throne and invaded to claim it. The battle was brutal, with Norman cavalry, archers, and infantry clashing against Harold's shield wall on Senlac Hill. After hours of fighting, Harold was killed, reportedly by an arrow to the eye, and the Normans claimed victory. William the Conqueror became the first Norman king of England, fundamentally reshaping English culture, language, and governance. Number 4. The First Battle of the Marne, 1914. At the onset of World War I, the First Battle of the Marne in September 1914 was a pivotal moment. The German Schlieffen Plan, designed to swiftly capture Paris and defeat France, was halted by a combined French and British force. Using taxis from Paris to transport reinforcements, the Allies launched a counterattack, forcing the Germans to retreat. This battle ended the German hope for a quick victory and led to the entrenched stalemate that would define the Western Front for the rest of the war. Number 3. The Battle of Gaugamela, 331 BC. Another Alexander the Great victory, the Battle of Gaugamela, also known as the Battle of Arbela, in 331 BC was a turning point in his conquest of Persia. Facing Darius III once again, Alexander used brilliant tactics to overcome a vastly larger Persian army. By creating gaps in the Persian lines and executing a direct cavalry charge at Darius himself, Alexander caused panic among the Persian forces, leading to their collapse. This victory allowed Alexander to conquer Babylon and marked the fall of the Achaemenid Empire. Number 1. The Siege of Orleans, 1429. The Siege of Orleans was a turning point in the 100 Years' War between England and France. The English, under the Earl of Salisbury, sought to capture Orleans, a key city on the Loire River. Despite initial success, the English faced stiff resistance from French forces led by Jean Dunois. But everything changed in April 1429 with the arrival of Joan of Arc. Inspired by divine visions, Joan's presence revitalized the French forces. She helped break the siege, leading to a major French victory and a turning point in the war. And there you have it, folks, 15 of the most pivotal battles in history. Each one of these battles shaped the world in profound ways, influencing the course of empires, cultures, and civilizations. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future episodes. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.